The fight ahead. Today, President Obama said he knows next year won't be easy with a Republican Congress, but he also won't let Republicans tear down his biggest achievements.
I think there are going to be some tough fights on areas where we disagree. If Republicans seek to take health care away from people who just got it, they will meet stiff resistance from me. If they try to water down consumer protections that we put in place in the aftermath of the financial crisis, I will say no. And I'm confident that I'll be able to uphold vetoes of those types of provisions.
Considering the GOP's agenda, the president might have to use that veto pen a lot. Republicans say one of their first priorities would be approving the Keystone XL pipeline. The president hasn't decided what he'd do on that issue yet. But they also want to roll back the Affordable Care Act, target his executive action on immigration, and curtail the EPA's regulations on coal. Those last three have no chance of getting the president's signature. But even with their disagreements, President Obama's hopeful for 2015.
I'm being absolutely sincere when I say I want to work with this new Congress to get things done, to make those investments, to make sure the government's working better and smarter. We're going to disagree on some things, but there are going to be areas of agreement, and we've got to be able to make that happen, and that's going to involve compromise every once in a while, and we saw during this lame duck period that perhaps that spirit of compromise may be coming to the fore.
On a lot of issues, the president wants to reach across the aisle and get things done, but will Republicans reach back? Joining me now are Jason Johnson and Dana Milbank. Thank you both for your time tonight.
Hi, Reverend.
Glad to be here, Rev.
Dana, we heard the president talk about using a carrot and stick approach with Cuba. Will he try the same thing with Republicans?
You know, Reverend, I think the president this afternoon was saying game on, and he was saying, yeah, he'll give him a little carrot, but he's really ready to use the stick. And I think John Boehner, you know, back home in Cincinnati for the holidays should, you know, uncork a nice bottle of Merlot and sip his wine now, because it's going to be no cocktail party when he gets back to town. This president is clearly reinvigorated and ready to fight, and he's going to have an easier time of it now that it's not this mishmash of a Republican House and a Democratic Senate. And he can draw clear lines and distinctions with this Republican Congress, and it looks like he's eager to do it.
You know, Jason, it's been funny to watch Republicans react to the president's recent actions on Cuba and immigration. One day they say he's a tyrant, the next he's an appeaser. I mean, take a look at this.
The president had said before that he's not king, and he's not an emperor, but he's sure acting like one.
Consistently, what President Obama has endeavored to do is to show weakness and appeasement towards our enemies. This man dictates by his pen and his phone.
This is not all that surprising that the president would agree to make all these concessions to this murderous, tyrannical regime. He believes somehow that he's become a monarch or an emperor that can basically ignore the law and do whatever he wants.
I mean, Jason, do you think they'll make up their mind by the time the new session starts?
You know, Obama is either the most incompetent dictator or the most weakest bully that we've ever seen in the presidency. And I don't think the Republicans can decide one way or another. And that's going to be the real challenge heading forward. If they're going to resurrect Congress, if they're going to do anything to get our government working, it's going to be CPR. It's going to be Cruz, it's going to be Paul, it's going to be Rubio. It's going to be those guys who are running for president in 2016, wrestling the rest of Congress and saying, we got to get something done with this president. Name calling hasn't gotten us anywhere.
But do you agree, Jason, with Dana's point that in some ways it'll be easier for the president to deal with a Republican Congress? Just go at him?
I don't think so. Not if we're looking in terms of actually getting things done. I mean, because the truth of the matter is the president does not have much help either in the House or the Senate now. And if he just wants to fight for the next 2 years, which is pretty much what's going to happen, there may be things he can accomplish with executive orders, but honestly, a split Congress was much better for the president getting through some legislation. So I don't think things are going to be any more productive over the next 2 years unless those senators running for president decide that they need to be productive.
Well, one thing, Dana, Republicans have talked about doing next year is blocking President Obama's nominee for Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. Senators Ted Cruz and Mike Lee said Ms. Lynch should release a statement whether or not she believes the president's executive amnesty plans are constitutional and legal. And Senator David Vitter says, I'll be working to get the new Congress to block this nomination. Don't Republicans realize the more obstruction that they engage in could backfire on them next year, Dana?
Yes, absolutely, and that's the point I'm making. And also you have Marco Rubio already saying, we'll block the new ambassador to Cuba, we'll block funds for the embassy there. So that's where I think the president has an advantage now, is he can call them out on this, and they can't hide. They're going to be seen out there as obstructionists. They can't sort of do a filibuster and hide in Harry Reid's skirts anymore. It doesn't mean necessarily that anything more is going to happen. Hardly anything has happened up until this point. So I'm not predicting that suddenly we're in for some new era of bipartisan compromise, but at the very least, the president's going to enjoy drawing very clean lines and distinctions.
You know, you've had an interesting night, Dana. The speaker's Merlot, Harry Reid's skirt. I don't know. The president's recent actions,
go get a bottle opener, Reverend.
The president's recent actions, though, on a serious note, Jason, has began to show some divisions within the GOP. Especially around Cuba. Senator Rand Paul said yesterday he agreed with the policy. Watch how Senator Marco Rubio reacted.
Senator, your thoughts on Senator Rand Paul's comments supporting the president?
Well, like many people that have been opining here, he has no idea what he's talking about.
Now, hey, Marco Rubio, if the embargo doesn't hurt Cuba, why do you want to keep it? And Senator Marco Rubio is acting like an isolationist who wants to retreat to our borders and perhaps build a moat. I reject this isolationism. That's why Rand Paul tweeted and fired back today. I read it. I'm sure people thought that was me talking. This is Rand Paul talking about Marco Rubio. I mean, has the president stoked some serious divisions within the GOP here, Jason?
Yeah, it's great. This lunchroom slap fight that they've got going. This is just par for the course, because the moment these guys realize that they have to really stake out some territory for the next couple of years, you're going to see Rubio fighting, you're going to see Paul fighting, you're going to see a lot of internal conflict. And the real thing that they're worried about is that the president's actions, his executive orders, have made a lot of their agenda irrelevant. What the president has done with sanctions and oil deals has lowered gas prices. The Keystone Pipeline isn't even valuable anymore. You've got oil companies who say it's not worth the money given how low gas prices are. What the president has done with Cuba already has said, look, we're going to improve the economy. We're going to do some of these foreign policy things. So he's eaten into their territory, so all they can do is fight with each other because they can't go after Obama.
Well, take out the popcorn. It's going to be fun. Jason
Yes,
Johnson and Dana Milbank, thank you both for your time tonight. Have a great weekend.
You too,
Thank
Reverend.
you.